Okay, so today we're going to be discussing a former Talmud of mine, still a Talmud of mine, just not in yeshiva anymore. But he asked me a shaila, can I make a shehakol, and for that shehakol to last to drink water all day long? Apparently, people have heard this such a thing, and I never heard of this before he asked me. But apparently, this is a thing. So when I was starting to do to figure out the answer to the shaila, I came across just that the fact that this is a much bigger sugya than I originally would have thought it was, which is always true in any sugya that we can ever have. Baruch Hashem. So we're going to have to basically figure out, number one, how long do I have to make a bracha achrona, right? How long do I have to make a bracha rishona? And what if I have something else in between that has the same bracha achrona as the water for in our example? Is that gonna cut off my bracha for my water or not? So the place to start for bracha achrona is a Mishnah in Brachos on Daf Nun Aleph Mabez. The Mishnah there says, Misha achal v'shachach v'lo birach, b'shama yomer yachzor b'mkomo v'yivarech, v'yiselo omer yivarech b'mkom shenizgar. This is a machlokas about where you need to bench. Okay, ve'ad masay yivarech, and how long do you have to bench to make a bracha achrona? Ad kidei she'is akel hamazon shebemeyav, until in time that the mazon, the food, is digested into your system. And I said bracha achrona generally because we're going to see that there's or maybe there's not a difference. Right now, let's work with the premise that we're working only with benching for now. So the Gemara in Nun Gimel Mabez asks the question: okay, well, kama shehakol, how long is this shear that's going to take to digest? Rabbi Yochanan calls man she'eino ra'av. Right, the whole time that I'm not hungry anymore after having eaten. For Reish Lakish Amar, Kol Zman sheyitzma mach mas achilasa. The whole time that I'm still thirsty, if I'm still thirsty after eating, then I'm going to need require a bracha achrona. Baruch Hashem, I saw the shir about the bracha achrona reminded Danny to make a bracha achrona. Okay, so now there's a bit of a stira in Reish Lakish. Because Amar Rav Yemar bar Shlamya Lamar Zotra v'Amri La Rav Yemar bar Shezvi Lamar Zotra. Okay, difficulty about who it is. Mi Amar Reish Lakish. Did he really say this? V'ha Amar Rav Ami Amar Reish Lakish Kamashir Equal Kidei Lahalich Arba Milin. So Reish Lakish somewhere else said no, to go 4 milin. So the Gemara answers Lo Kashya Kan be'achila meruba. Kan be'achila muetes. Now, you may want to be asking why I'm stressing Reish Lakish's shita halacha machlokas Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. We usually passing like Rabbi Yochanan. So just keep it in the back of your mind that Reish Lakish has 2 dayas, and let's just point out there's a machlokas rishonim about what that exactly what Reish Lakish really means. One kam achila meruba, kam achila muetes. Is achila meruba kol zman sheyitzma machmas achilaso, or is achila meruba kedei lahalech arba milin? So Rashi says achila meruba is to travel dalan milin, and Taisa says no, it's not right because because you're going to be thirsty if you don't take a drink, you're going to be thirsty forever. So rather achila meruba is as long as it takes while you're still thirsty. The zman that you are still thirsty, that's achila meruba. And dalaminin is achila muetes. Now that's Reish Lakish. Just the svara for Rashi. Why would Rashi say that the achila meruba is dalaminin and achila muetes is until the time it takes for you to be not thirsty? So Reish Lakish doesn't say the time it takes for you to not be thirsty if you don't drink water. Reish Lakish says the amount of time for you to still be thirsty from that eating. But that's a finite amount of time. Meaning, if I don't drink for 45 hours, I'm going to be really thirsty, not because of that previous eating, but because I didn't drink. right? So Rashi maybe meant that the amount of time for me to be thirsty after eating is a short time, and after that it's just normal thirst. That's rugil for not drinking. Maybe that would be Rashi's svara. Again, this is important. I'm stressing this because it's going to come up interestingly that
what's the chilek between the two? Just don't.
If Chilum muetas, we'll have to maybe see if we could define that term a little bit, but we're not really going to touch upon that. But Chilum muetas, if I eat just a little bit, right, and maybe not enough that I would be completely full, let's say. So then the shear would be, for me to make a bracha achrona, would be shorter than the one for me if I ate a full meal. According to Reish Lakish, that would be the nafkamina. But in terms of Rabbi Yochanan, who we paskin like, who we should paskin like, Talmidei Rabbi Yonah on the in the Daf Arif on Daf Mem in the Daf Arif explains that it doesn't mean the time that I'm still hungry from that I'm completely full and then at the end of my digestion period, but rather it's the starting of the digestion period. Shir equal is the beginning. When I'm still, because I guess when I'm hungry again, it's an indicator that the digestion has, or the digestive system has started the motor has started up in your digestive system. So now we have two different gedarim. We have beginning of digesting, and then we have within Reish Lakish we have a machlokas. The Shulchan Aruch in Orach Chaim Kuf Pei Daled Sif Hey paskins like Rabbi Yochanan, not surprising. Ad emas hayachal levarich ad sheis akal hamazon shebemeyav the kama shiuro kol zman she'ino roiv machmas osu achila. This is right as we just quoted from the Rabbi Yonah. That is exactly as the lashon of the Rabbi Yonah. So he also brings the das of the Rush here at the end. I didn't quote the Rush, but this is the Rush. Im eno roiv v'lo tzameh v'soiv lo'osam peros yivarich. Im eno yodei l'shayir im nisaklo. Right. So he says that it's not just benching. It's also even to eat peros or to drink wine. Right. This din is going to be the same. That as long as I'm not hungry or thirsty, right, and I still want to keep eating, then I'm allowed to say my bracha achrona. If I don't know how to be mishayir exactly what my shear equal is, we're gonna have to figure out what exactly that means at the end. But first, the Magen Avraham says something very, very, very interesting. So Adkan we have it seems like we pass on like Rabbi Yochanan. So therefore, as long as we could identify what Chol Zman She'eino Roiv Machmas Osu Achila is, and it's the Misha Shehischali Yos Roiv. Right? Is that like a finite amount of time? Is that subjective? Right? What about the fact that if I take one bite of pizza and then I'm still hungry and I want to take another bite, which I should probably I missed out on an opportunity to take a bracha achrona. That would be a little absurd, right? Right. So it could be that later on we're going to have we're about to offer a number, but it could be that what this means in the Shulchan Aruch is simply that there's an eating session, right? I'm kovei a seuda, I'm eating a seuda, I'm eating my pizza. We'll talk about whether pizza is a snack food or a meal food. I think it's a meal food. Okay, but that's a different shaila. But I'm sitting down. It's Maimer Mordechai. Yeah.
Is this about like whether you're saying Zonos, like Samuel saying Zonos, or what's the reason?
Mm-hmm. For pizza? No. Whether you need to wash on one slice of pizza. Is it possible bekisnin? Is it possible because it's a snack food, or is it maybe because they add piros here in Eretz Yisrael? A lot of the pizza places do this, and no. This is a different sugya. But let's say, when I'm sitting down to eat, I'm kovei suda. That's called one eating session. So even though the next bite I take, it's because I'm taking another break because I'm still hungry, and the time in between, well, I'm still hungry, so maybe I should have made a bracha. So I didn't. So no, that's not what we're saying. We're saying that if after I finished eating, I had like a slight break, and then I start eating again. So if I was full at that point, and then later on I started eating again, I may have missed out on an opportunity to make a bracha achrona. However, the Magen Avram here, first he points out the Avudram. This is in Sif Katin Tes, Kuf Pei Dal Sif Katin Tes. The Avudram says, Shir equal be'achil muetes who? Kidei hiluch dal milin. That sounds very strange. That sounds like Reish Lakish, right? Okay. V'husha v'chol meisha. That's 72 minutes. Right? Well, that makes sense. An hour and a fifth. Yeah. So it's 72 minutes. Right? V'hu kapirish ha'toisvis. But this is like Taisvis, that the Muetes is the Dal Milan, as we discussed. But Meruba is going to be until the longer time, right? So Uve'emes kol posting lo chelku bein rav l'ma'at. This is very strange because the posting don't really differentiate between a lot and a little, because that's according to Reish Lakish. Aval anan kaim along ke Rabbi Yochanan. And he says, "Veneerly the high equal tchilas equal who desof equal have alkol panim vav shos." He says exactly like the Rabbi Yonah. Fine. This is not the part that is strange in the Magen Avram. The part that's strange is, and it looks like time is a little short today, so we may go a little over time. But he says tzarich iyun, one that eats a little bit and is not full, right? Now, how do we measure? So how do you figure out without a time limit? Because only within Reish Lakish we really have a time limit. But for Rabbi Yochanan we don't have a time limit. It's just while you're hungry. So he says, figure it out. Maybe it's actually how hungry you were, but when you started. Now, this is the part of the strange. V'im ira. Shesha achar achilaso ye'achel me'at kodem birkas hamazon v'im hisiach daito yevarech hamotzi tchila nearly demisharotza liftor shnei achilaso shnei shtios bebracha achas v'shal b'insaim k'dei she'yis akel tzarich lachzor levarech bracha rishona. He says, when the Gemara said that you need to be mevarech and you have until shir ichol, right? It didn't just mean bracha achrona. It also meant bracha rishona, that you lose out your opportunity to make a bracha rishona, which is a pella. So, to summarize, because we're saying we're covering two different things right now. We passing like Rabbi Yochanan, which is the amount of time that until we eat. The Magen Avram actually said in Anobikim, we don't know how to be mishar. That it's, maybe if you want to adjust it could be on whether you figure out, okay, am I as hungry as I was before? I have to be as hungry as I was at the beginning of this of when I started to eat. But he says also that we passing like Rabbi Yochanan, and then the shaila is, let's say I the shir ichol runs out, and I'm finding myself hungry again, right? Not only do you have to finish making your bracha, you can't make a bracha achrona, you also have to make a new bracha rishona. You lost out, your bracha rishona ended. Now we're gonna have to answer up all these things. Number one, because we do pass in 72 minutes by foods. So where does this come from? That sounds like Reish Lakish. So the answer is, the Mishnah Berurah says, it's really weird. We passing like Rabbi. It seems like we should passing like Rabbi Yochanan, but I'll tell you that since Rabbi Reish Lakish, this is in the Bir Halacha in Kuf Pei Daled Sif Hey, that since the Reish Lakish offered his shiurim and Rabbi Yochanan Mistama holds with bigger shiurim. I don't know why he says it, but he makes this assumption. Mistama holds bigger shiurim, so we know at least at 72 minutes that we could, after that we're maybe a little choshesh that your shir ichol ended, because that's a finite shir that's offered, and many poskim offered this shita. So we're going to say that l'chumra we're going to say 72 minutes is going to be a problem, and also l'chumra we're going to say that maybe we should try to bench right away after we finish eating and not wait in case 72 minutes maybe Rabbi Yochanan had a smaller shir. And he also, so that's Aleph. 72 minutes. Now, in the Sefer Vizos Bracha, which if you guys ever want to learn Hilchos Brachos, it's a Givaldige Sefer. He writes that based on Rav Chaim Pinchas Steinberg, that the shear for the shear ichul for drinking is chatisha, drinking 30 minutes. So as long as I drink within every 30 minutes, I don't need a new bracha rishona.
How much is one drinking? Kind of just to live.
Meaning that if I make a shehakol drink,
yeah,
right?
Let's say you drink a small amount.
Like you're saying Malol Lugma versus Revius?
Yeah, I'm saying
probably Revius.
Yeah,
probably Revius.
You have to have a Revius of water.
I don't know though. I could check after.
Okay.
It's a good question. Next week, yeah. So he says 30 minutes. Okay. So what about the bracha rishona? So okay, we said answer the question number one. There's a difference between eating and drinking. Eating is halacha l'maisa 72 minutes. Drinking is 30 minutes. And so after those shiurim, I've lost out on my bracha achrona opportunity at least. If you're mesupok, by the way, halacha l'maisa, if you're mesupok, whether Kedei Eichel ended by benching Safek Deraisa, it's a right benching the Deraisa l'chamer. You should bench again. You should bench, right? Not bench again. You should bench, right? And by other things, those are derabbanans like peros and even mizonos. The machlokas rishonim about whether birchas mein shalosh is actually deraisa, but we pass on that it's not. So we're worried about a bracha shein etzricha, which isn't it's a deraisa. So don't make a bracha achrona if you're mesubak about whether shir kedei equal ended. Now, what about bracha rishona? I'm not going to be able to cover everything. I think we're going to have to end after this. There's another fascinating thing. Well, maybe Tuesday we'll finish up. Mm-hmm. Yeah? Okay. So bracha rishona. So the Magen Avraham said, if you lose out of shir yichol, right? You don't just lose out in your bracha rishona, you lose out in your bracha achrona. Bir Halacha quotes the Evan Oizer, who says, nah, it's not true. You don't. Who says you missed out on? The Gemara is talking about benching, right? The Gemara is saying, until when can you bench? And the answer is until this time. And it's very evident that it's talking about Birkas Hamazon. It's not talking about Bracha Rishona. So all the poskim say, no, the Magen Avraham is wrong, and really you can keep going with your Bracha Rishona, though even if you miss on the Bracha Achrona, and right, I mean we don't want to miss on the Bracha Achronas. We want to make bracha achronas, right? It's still bad to miss out on a bracha achrona, but you don't have to make a new bracha rishona as long as you don't have a hesed chadas, right? And as long as you don't have a shnei makom, which is going to have to be for another week as well, shnei makom. This is a large sugya. We can't really cover as much as I wanted even today, but for now we have. You need to make a new bracha. You would not need to make a new bracha rishona until you have a hesed chadas or a shinei makom, and 72 minutes for eating for bracha achrona, 30 minutes for drinking. Adkan today's share. Shkayach. Okay, so I'm just clarifying. This is an addendum to the previous share. I just wanted to make a couple of clarifications. I said that last time that the person that says that. Since we don't know exactly what the time for that we would be hungry would be, so the share that we have is 72 minutes that based off of the Reish Lakish. So I said that was the Bir Halacha or the Mishnah Berurah, but it's really the Aruch HaShulchan found in I have it here in Kuf Pei Dalad Sifim Zayin and Ches. So that's clarification number one. That was the Aruch HaShulchan. Just for the sake of being correct. Number two is when we discussed lechatchila and bidi eved. So 72 minutes is the lechatchila, but bidi eved, as long as I'm still hungry, Maker Hadin, since we paskin like Rabbi Yochanan, really one could still bench even after 72 minutes as long as they are still hungry. However, since we don't really know how to figure out about whether we are hungry or not, like what does that mean? Like really hungry. What if I'm hungry a little bit? What if I'm whatever? So Rav Elyashiv recommends, this is brought down in the Zosa Bracha on page 49, that Rav Elyashiv recommended to eat a little bread in such a case where you're misupach about whether you are still hungry. Or even without a suffix, he just recommends to eat. But certainly, this is the third clarification, is that we have a case of suffix. A case of suffix is that I said earlier in the previous year, or I said what I said before, and this is the addendum. So I said suffix is I'm not sure if it's 72 minutes. Suffix is also if I'm not sure if I'm still hungry. If I'm not sure if I'm still hungry, and I'm really misupach about it, then the best thing to do would also to bring one out of any suffix. That would also be the ideal thing to do in a case of suffix 72 minutes. Now, the final thing that I want to add on is that I didn't mention. Let's say I eat less than the amount that I would be full, and therefore I wouldn't be hungry for a certain amount of time. So if that were to happen, I would eat less than Kedei Svia. So we don't really have a shear for an achila muetes because that's really Reish Lakish. However, the Mishnah Berurah does mention that the poskim do talk about this, and Lamaisa though the Zosa Bracha says ultimately, since we don't really have a clear-cut shear about what achila muetes would be. He says the best thing to do would be if you to make a bracha achrona miyad, if you have less than Kedei Svia, and worst comes to worst, you have up to 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, okay, so yish ladun, but up until 30 minutes is certainly lechatchila. The ideal thing to do after 30 minutes would again be your bracha rishona does not get cut off, as we mentioned, against Magen Avram. So the ideal thing to do would be to eat a little bit more, and then you would certainly be mechayev in a bracha achrona.
We really hope that you're able to grow and enjoy with this amazing content that we just put together. Do us a favor. Don't just make it about you and me. Share this with the world. Get that Torah out there for everyone to see. Additionally, if you want to hear more, which we hope you do, you can subscribe to our content so that you can be up to date with all of the new amazing Torah that we have here in the yeshiva, pumping it out to you as the klal.